What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here at CenturyLink Field shortly after the Vikings finish off a win in their second preseason game over the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of things to sort out in this game. Once again, you saw the starters didn't get a ton of snaps. The first string offense was out there for about 15 snaps over 2 drives, almost identical to what they had down in Nashville. The starting defense, you had guys leaving after 5 snaps, Antoine Winfield and Cedric Griffen among others. Those guys came out of the game really quickly. Some of those second stringers who stepped in, overall, everybody got the better of the Seahawks starters. The Seattle offense was extremely rough. Welcome to Seattle, Travaris Jackson. The crowd is chanting for Charlie Whitehurst by the third quarter of this game. But looking at on the Vikings side of things, the starting offense, Charlie Johnson gives up a bad sack early on in the game. But their second drive, they got some rhythm, 13 plays, 81 yards. You saw some positive things there. I think one of the really interesting things was the way that they were rotating some guys through, putting some different combinations to get first stringers in with second stringers, and also some of the changes they made in terms of the rotation in places like the offensive line. We're starting to see a little bit of clarity in how some things are going to shake out. Christian Ponder in this game led a couple of nice drives. They fell apart late. They had penalties. They had the same sort of things that tend to happen in the second half of preseason games. But what I've seen from Ponder, especially when you get him on the move, the play action, the naked bootlegs, when you get him outside of the pocket, he's a threat because he can run as well as throw on the run. I think ultimately the Vikings are going to look at the body of what Christian Ponder's done so far and say he probably is going to be okay to be on track to be the number 2 quarterback going into the season. And I also say that because I think that you're better off with Joe Webb being the guy in practice who's taking the scout team reps, impersonating the other team's quarterback. You want Ponder running this offense. And I think that this was a night where you started to see some of the things that Ponder can do well, and the fact that at minimum he can function within an offense. In terms of the receiver situation, Percy Harvin and Greg Camarillo sat out tonight. Devin Aroma-Shadu was the third receiver on the field with Berrien and Jenkins when they went 3 wides. Made a couple of nice catches. I think Aroma-Shadu at this point has the inside track on the number 4 receiver job. I think that probably for the number 5 job, Joaquin Iglesias had a couple of nice catches tonight as well. Him and Greg Camarillo are probably pretty close to even for that other spot. I think Iglesias maybe can do some different things. Camarillo's more of a slot guy. I think Camarillo would be the safer player. The Vikings owe him something like $2 million this year. Do you want that guy to be a special teamer and your number 5 receiver? I think that they would probably lean toward Iglesias there. Emmanuel Arsenault finally gets a ball, chance to do something with it, 23-yard game, gets the ball stripped out, and it ends up being a touchback. That's a tough blow for him in the situation that he's in right now. I think Aroma-Shadu definitely has taken that step forward, whereas you look at how the roster is going to sort out, he's one guy that you're probably going to consider on the inside track. Well, on the offensive line, the right guard spot still appears to be really in doubt. You have Scott Koistra, who got the start tonight, even though they had said that he was not going to start, that it was going to be either Cook or DeGear. It was pretty obvious through practice that was not going to be the case. But do they really look at Koistra as being a starting caliber guard? It's tough to watch line play from the press box and break anything down. I'll look at the tape more tomorrow. But I know Koistra did not play well at tackle in the first game down in Nashville. So did he acquit himself well enough at guard to be in that mix? What about Ryan Cook, a guy they're familiar with, obviously? And what about DeGear, who moved over and played right tackle tonight? As well as Anthony Herrera, who is probably going to get into a game you would think next week. I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know that Herrera's a lock to be on this roster, particularly if he's not physically ready to start early on in the season, although certainly you would think that as he continues to work his way back from the ACL as well as the triceps, that he could potentially be a valuable backup. Over on the defensive side of things, Jasper Brinkley and Aaron Henderson alternated by series early on in the game. You can only pay so much attention in the second half. I know through the first half they were alternating series by series. Jasper Brinkley continues to be in the position to make a lot of plays, but does not make those plays. We saw it again tonight. He looks lost in coverage. He panics a little bit when he gets out in space. He's supposed to be a guy who's got downhill run traits, but this is the second straight game where he ran right by a play in the backfield. Those are just the plays that need to be made for him to have a chance to start. I think Aaron Henderson is clearly ahead at this point. Kenny Anatolis should be back this week from the stress fracture in his foot. Does he have enough time to put some sort of a push together to get that starting spot? I don't really think so. I think Aaron Henderson's going to be the starting weak side linebacker on this team. Everson, Griffen, and Adrian Awasom, finally going to pronounce that name correctly, both showed positive things again tonight. At the defensive end position, Brian Robinson had a very nice speed rush on a 3rd down and put a hit on Travaris Jackson that forced an incompletion. You see that line is starting to play well, but how many of those guys are going to fit in? Awasom's been working on a lot of the first team special teams. I think he makes the squad. Everson, Griffen, how do you get him on the field? Because Jared Allen's not coming off in rushing situations. Do you take Robinson off? That's all stuff that they're going to have to sort out, but Griffen continues to put himself in the mix. And then in the secondary, Chris Cook acquitted himself well. Being the third cornerback on in the nickel, they bumped him over to the left cornerback side. He matched up a lot with Sidney Rice in this game, held his own, couple of go routes. He was at least in position. That's a positive sign if you're the Vikings, that Chris Cook at least is keeping up at this point. At safety, Jamarcus Sanford didn't look good in this game. I didn't see a ton of Tyrell Johnson, who did get the start. I don't know that they have another guy right now who looks like he should be a starting safety besides Hussein Abdullah. That's something that's going to have to clarify itself. I think the Vikings probably are going to be at least keeping one eye on the waiver wire. They love Tyrell Johnson because they know what his potential is to be the guy who grabs that role. So far, he hasn't done it. That spot remains up for grabs. They're going to be going in this next coming week now, leading up to the home preseason opener against Dallas. They're going to do more game planning, simulate more of a game week. We're out of training camp mode now. They're going to be on cards. They're going to be doing the scout team work in practice. We kind of start to see this shift. This is the game. The guys who start in this game are the ones who you look at as being the front runners. The first two games, a lot of evaluating young guys, evaluating combinations. The third preseason game, as it usually is the one where we're going to start to find out what coaches really think of players. What are they going to do in terms of game planning? Who do they want to get on the field the most? We'll sort that out at the Metrodome 1 week from now. Full coverage at 1500ESPN.com. I got to be on the air in about 4 hours here, so I'm going to go get some sleep. See ya.